Hello, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of the Limitless Landscapers Podcast. I'm Paula, the landscapers coach and your host. And today I'm talking about lots of things actually, but with a lovely guest called Yasmin of Hive Drive and the podcast Married to Landscaping. Welcome, Yasmin. Welcome to the Limitless Landscapers Podcast, the podcast for owner-led landscaping businesses who want more profit, more control, and ultimately less stress. I'm Paula Warman, the landscapers coach, and after scaling a landscaping business to a team of 15, winning 38 industry awards, closing it when overheads became unsustainable, and rebuilding lean and profitable, I've learned this. Turnover doesn't build freedom. Profit, systems, and smart decisions do. And that's exactly what we talk about here on the Limitless Landscapers Podcast, where limitless isn't larger, it's sustainability.
Hello, Paula. Hello, everyone.
So today we're going to have a chat around life systems, building a business, and obviously being married to landscapers as we both are. So do you want to give us a brief background of you? What brings you here
Yep,
today? And then we'll get into it.
totally. Yes, lovely to be on with you, Paula. So I'm Yasmin. I am, for some of you that may not recognize, I am actually British, but I've been living in Australia for about 13 years now. So I've got that horrible accent where I'm just in the middle. So yeah, born and bred in England and started life as a teacher and then decided that I was going to move to Australia. And in moving to Australia, I was actually going to continue teaching. But when I came over to Melbourne, they asked for a lot of forms and things that I didn't have. So in the meantime, I decided I'd get a job and I got a job in technology and I worked for a global tech company. And I quickly realized that things in tech were a lot more exciting. They're a lot more fast paced. They're a lot more cutting edge and it paid a hell of a lot more than it did in
Yep.
teaching. So instead of continuing with my teaching, I decided that I would move into tech full time. And I started doing that and spent 10 years in tech and met my husband, who was a landscaper, and he was running a landscaping business, and I was doing my tech career. And then we settled down and we had babies. And in doing so, a lot of things changed for us. And in that change, I started rebuilding his business with a very tech first approach and then realized that actually this is something that most landscapers are probably not using at this point in time and could be something that we could really help other landscaping families with. So we're just on that journey now, trying to share the message of how you can use technology to help with your business and just help. The drive for us, Paula, is really around spending more time as a family and just having more freedom, both time freedom and financial freedom to just enjoy life because we just feel like life's just got all a bit too heavy and there's little bit too much
Yeah.
negativity going on. And yeah, we're on that mission to really enjoy life because you only get one shot at it, and we really want to have fun.
You do. And you mentioned you've got three kids. You also homeschool, don't you? Which is kind of my next step with my children. So I get quite excited about this. So how do you actually balance your business, your husband's landscaping business, family, homeschooling? How do you do it? How do you do it all?
Yep. So we are in our first year of homeschooling. So we've got a 5-year-old and we've got two 4-year-old twins. So our 5-year-old is our experiment right now. So I've come from a teaching background. My husband also pre-landscaping was a teacher. So we both come from teaching. We both appreciate that the school day is probably structured over 7 hours, or it's 6 or 7 hours, because you've just got massive class sizes, and what you actually can do in seven, what you'd spend 7 hours doing, you can probably do in like 45 minutes to an hour when you're one-on-one. So it's not our structure for homeschooling is not a traditional day by any stretch. We're not doing 7 hours of teaching at all. He's only 5, so it's very much still play based.
Yeah.
So we're just doing activities, and we have termed it learning through life because we don't actually want the approach of really structured learning. We actually want the experiences that we're having to just be lessons because we want to prepare them for
Yeah.
living. So he very much is part of, if we have to sit down and do a meeting, he understands we have to do a meeting, and he's very much part of, like, if we're doing a podcast, he wants to understand how the podcast works. And so he's very much a part of that entrepreneurial journey, which we're really happy about because we do want them to have that sort of mindset as well moving forward. So in terms of the way we structure our day, Zave will do the mornings. So he'll have mornings where he goes and does work, and I'll spend one-on-one time with Noah. And then he will have from afternoons, I'll spend the afternoon doing my work. But when I say doing work, it's just like I said, when we've got something to do, we'll sit down and focus, like a focused task, and do it. Otherwise, we're just spending time together. And the idea is we are trying, and we're still on the journey, Paula. We're not there yet.
Yeah.
And with the pace of change with technology, like I am, and Xavier is becoming, because he's the person running the business and probably was less tech enabled, let's call
Yeah.
it. And I would be asking him to put systems in place, and that would always be, we can go through how we managed to make that transition, but he would always be quite, probably a little bit less forthcoming than I was. But he started to see the change and the time that he can save when these systems are put in place. And he's now looking at, we've got a lifestyle where we are homeschooling, we're traveling to England for 3 months a year. He's got a lifestyle where we do have to have systems in place where he is just reducing the amount of time he's in the business, and we're starting to do that. We're managing to free up more and more time for him, which
Yeah.
for us is the ultimate goal.
Which,
So
yeah,
uh,
which is most people's ultimate goal, to get more of their time back, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, totally. And from so I've been in tech for 13, well, it was 10 years, and then I had a break and I went back for a little bit. So let's say it was 13 years because it was the time I've been in Australia. In that time, I saw mass transformations, but this was of big global companies as well. Like it was
Yeah.
like, the top 100 companies in Australia. And you really needed a significant amount of money, and you really needed tech teams. And, I was helping them transform. And then as it got towards the end of that time that I was in the tech company, I started to see these smaller companies spin off with software that was able to do a lot of what these people are doing. We had the cloud came out, the cloud came out, and
Yeah.
things were then much easier to spin up, much easier to manage. And as I moved out of tech and started looking after Zave's business, just sort of on the peripheral while I was with the children, I started to realize that actually there's this really powerful technology that you could start leveraging in these smaller businesses that give them the capability of these big companies. Like we're talking all of the smarts, you sit down, you think that I used to always think, how are these people responding so quickly? They've just got an automated system in place where they're responding. They're not doing anything. They're not doing anything. They're just scaling their
Yeah.
resources better, which is what we then decided that we were going to do in his business. And he was very resistant at first. We then aligned on the fact that we wanted more time with the kids and where we were going to go with our lives. And then he realized that he had to, like, if for him to achieve it, he had to adopt the tech. And now he's all in.
Good.
He's diving head first.
I think that's the bonus, isn't it? Because a lot of landscaping businesses, they set up and they know how to landscape. They're not necessarily that au fait with the business side. They're definitely not tech minded, or the majority of them that I've personally worked with, my husband himself, he hates tech. I mean, getting him a laptop
That's why
has
they're
blown their
landscapers.
mind.
Yeah, that's why they're landscapers. Like
Yeah,
they don't
exactly.
want to be, they don't want tech. They just want
No,
to be
they don't.
outside. That's it. Like it's just a different type of person.
It is. They like to be creating and being, like you say, being outside. They're not like us who are on the computers, and it's part of our life. And I think it tends to be, it's when everything begins to rely on the owner, which is during the setup, as you're starting to develop the business, you still are relied upon for absolutely everything. That tech becomes almost like a savior of the business and a way forward, and a way to get to that lifestyle that you want where you're not consumed by the business. So what would you say, or how are you doing it in your husband's landscaping business that could potentially help other landscapers? Because I know I've got a lot of landscapers that will be listening to this. They'll be like, what are they doing that I'm not? So yeah, if you can share, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if I just take you on the journey of the problems that Zave was having in his business. So
Perfect.
Zave would often be on the tools. So initially he was on the tools. He now has someone that is his construction manager, but initially he was on the tools and he would be on the tools all day. Then he'd have to go and quote 3 jobs. So he'd be rushing around after work and he'd go and quote these 3 jobs, and then he'd come home. Then he'd like have his dinner, open his laptop, and he's trying to quote and stressing. He was trying to get back to clients. He'd have 50 messages on his phone and texting and invoicing, and he was just he was there, but he was never really there.
Yeah.
So I had a shadow of a partner, and it really came to light when we had children as well. Like it was really he really it was in such a diverted. He wanted to spend time with the kids, but he was just so he's so
Yeah.
consuming. His business was so consuming, um, and so what we initially did, so the initial the sole focus was just to get him time back in his life. So the first thing was, we're just going to put a gatekeeper around your time. We're just going to have, so from, you're not going to answer the phone anymore.
Yeah.
You're going to have, it initially started as a text back when he couldn't answer, and it was just a automated text messaging.
Nice.
We've now got a AI receptionist that answers his phone,
Yeah.
does the qualifying for him. If he says the areas that he wants to work in, a couple of pre-qualification questions. If it ticks those, that they will then book a site visit in. So now his time's protected. He doesn't actually even engage with the client until
Site
it's
visit.
been qualified. Yeah, until it's been qualified, it's a site visit. He's got information already. That he always said that he was never going to. He's like, no, my clients need to speak to me. And I think we've spoken about this before. It's just like, you realize that you're in control of your time. It's not the client will fit around you if they want to work with you, right?
Yeah.
So that was the first. So we put that into place, and then it was that he was always stressed about I haven't got back to this person, I haven't got back to that person. So it was putting in automated follow-ups with people,
Yeah.
putting in like just when a site visit's booked, just reminding the client, just the automated texts that go out saying we're on our way, can't wait to see, can't wait to see you, just the thank you when you leave. He doesn't have to think about any of that. That's all done for him. Just in that time where he's preparing his quote, a few
Yeah.
interactions will go out. We're just getting ready to prepare your quote. Here's a couple of things you can be thinking about. All of this is automated. It's created once. The client feels like they're getting this personal experience, and Zave's not really doing anything. Like
Yeah.
it's the system. And then from that perspective, the quote follow up, he would spend a lot of time. Well, he actually wouldn't on the jobs he wanted to win. He'd spend a lot of time
Yes.
trying to follow those posts up, and then he'd just ignore the
Ignore the
rest.
rest.
And he'd ignore the rest. And it was like, well, we can set follow ups here. And then when you've done the 3 follow ups through text message and through email, then it can automate a phone call. So it can just say to you, right, let's schedule in a phone call. So that's all done. So he only speaks to people once they've had 3 follow-ups. And
Yeah.
so now he's only dealing with like there's just a lot of stuff that's taking care of itself before he has to get involved. So he's just got that breathing space now between his business and between him, which is allowing him to look at the higher level tasks. Because obviously, this is probably where you come into your element, is that looking at the profitability of the business, and all of those things take time. Like,
Yeah.
how are we going to manage the cash flow? Like, he's working on those bigger things now because he's got time. He's managed to get construction manager in place and all of those things because he's now got the time and the breathing space to do it. He's now looking at how he's going to automate social media on the platform and all of those things that are going to help him scale the business. We've got the marketing in place where anyone that comes into contact with his business just goes into a marketing funnel and they just get a monthly email that just goes out. Again, it's just keeping people warm,
Yeah.
keeping them top of mind. He's got a referral system. So once people have done, if we tag them as the
Yeah.
job's gone well, they then go into a referral system and they just ask them if they can of any referrals they may have. Also, just staying in touch with them around, which I think is the best thing that we've done. We haven't seen it because we've only just put it in, But we've now got something in place where if they've tagged that they've had like a pool bill, or if they've tagged they've had a decking, they just get a automated email like 3 months, or like I think it's 6 weeks before summer's coming. Hey, summer's coming, time to enjoy your new pool. And then it just sends them a bit of advice about how to get the pool clean. And it's just that personalized
Yeah.
service that they're now getting, that doesn't Zave doesn't have to do anything, but they're now getting this experience. And more jobs will start to come in from it. And it's just that machine that's starting to work,
Yeah.
that never used to work. It was just him that had to do everything. And he probably did like 10% of it. And that got him stressed out because he knew he wasn't doing it properly, and he knew he could be doing better. And it was just that cycle. So the biggest thing for me is I've got my husband back. I've got someone
Yeah.
back now that is so much less stressed, so much more confident about how his business is running, and he can spend more time with the kids, and he's such a good dad, and like seeing that is just gold. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been win-win for us.
Well, it sounds like a dream that most landscapers don't even know is available. I think that's another thing. Um, you don't necessarily know that all of these things, this tech help, CRM systems, all of this is out there, and they don't know where to look, and they're probably thinking this is just a pipe dream, couldn't be for me, but it actually can. There's lots of stuff now, particularly with the AI boom, I like to
Oh,
call it. There's so
there's
much
so
stuff you can put
much.
in. And like you say, your approach was kind of like slow and steady, making small changes or something. You're still adding stuff now.
Yeah.
You don't have to do everything all at once, because that would just lead to overwhelm and not doing anything.
No, so Paula, I did start when I first had I was first on maternity, and I just left Cisco was who I worked for. I had just left them, and I was bored. It was COVID. I hadn't had my first baby yet. I was bored, and I looked into his business, and I was like, can I help with something? And he was like, okay, yep, fine. I think he would ask me to do something about his emails or something really boring. And I looked in and I was like, well, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? And he's like, well, no, I don't. Well, I do this, I do that, I do. And I was like, okay, well, you could just easily put a system in place that does it. And like, for me, it was just really normal.
Yeah,
But for him, it wasn't. And he got a bit offended. I was like, you've got to do this, and this. And he was just like, hello, I'm running a business here. Like, you don't even know what you're doing. You've come into my business. And he was like quite frustrated by it.
yeah,
And it was because I just went in as a bulldozer. I was just like, bulldozer, we've got to do all these things. And then when we aligned, we had the children, we said, look, we want to move to the country, we want to do England for 3 months. When we aligned on that, he then said, the business way is not going to achieve this. And then he was like, okay, maybe we do need to start looking at some of the things. And again, I probably went in a bit hard, and I was like, virtual receptionist, this is what we're doing. And he was like, no, we're not. He's like, there is not going to be an AI receptionist answering my phone. And I was like, babes, you've got to get with the time. It took him, I reckon it was a year and a half later, he put that in. So we
acceptable.
started, again, it was just like, it was too much for him. Like, he didn't trust the tech. I have been around the tech for a long time. I trust the tech. He didn't trust the tech. He was just like, it needs to be proven to me before I do this. Like, he's like, well,
Yeah,
how is it going to know this? I was like, well, because there's a back end system. He's like, but how's it going to know the customers? How's it going to know and I was like, because it's all logged in this system. But it was just so unnatural for him.
yeah,
And I had to dial it down, because I'm like, yeah, of course, they're landscapers. They're not looking at this stuff. Like, it was my job to do this. It wasn't your job. Your job was to go out and deliver these incredible gardens. It's like, if you asked me to go and do something for landscaping, I wouldn't know what the hell I was doing, and you
yeah,
would laugh at me. Basically, you'd be like, "What are you doing? Why are you holding a spade like that?" Like, you know what I mean? They would, which is fair. So I understood that I approached it wrong, and now I realize it is just about small, bite-size, actionable things that you can be doing that are actually solving problems in your business. Like, don't solve things that aren't a problem,
yeah,
solve the things that are a problem, and then move on to something else. Like that. And that's what built Zave's trust up, was that we
yeah.
solved a problem. Okay, this is good. Yep, all right. And then we solved another problem. And then he was like, can it do this? And I was like, yeah. And he's like,
Yes, it
well,
can.
can it do that? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, so it can do this. And I was like, yes, it can do all of that. And he's like, okay, let's do that. And he started to drive the change, as opposed to me dragging him along.
But I think, again, like you're right, it all starts with your alignment of goals, I feel. And I feel when
Yeah.
I talk to landscapers about their businesses and how they want to change it and where they are at the moment, they have to kind of think it's like beginning with the end in mind, yeah? They have to think of their goals. What are their goals? Is it time freedom? Is it more time with the family?
Mm,
Is it just an exit plan to get out of the business at
yeah.
a specific time? But you have to then have that goal setting period for them to then say, right, well, what actually does need to change? Like you say, well, if you want that,
Mm,
you need to do this. And a lot of the time, it is systems. And at the moment,
yeah.
is your best friend because systems used to be quite clunky. I remember the first CRM system I used, it was Infusionsoft. I thought it was fantastic. It was like so much money a month, but it took so much effort creating everything and the back end. So I actually had people in the office and young apprentice girls who used to sit there and just build automations within this
Mm,
CRM system, just so we could have the kind of customer service that we all strive for in our landscaping business. So actually it wasn't very cost effective. Yes, it helped
mm,
because automations take that away from the business owner, in my case, my husband as well. But it was still very heavy on the manpower and the time.
yeah.
Whereas now there's tech that does it well, without you even thinking.
Yeah, it's totally, and it is, and the thing is that I will encourage people to be thinking about is that we are in a digital world, and our
Yeah.
customers, uh, it, their expectations don't stop when they contact a landscaper. They don't suddenly think, oh, I'm calling a landscaper, I'm okay to have shit service, excuse me, or
Yeah,
to have
100%.
like a bad experience. They're used to the Uber, they're used to the Amazon, they're used to that level of communication, instant responses. They're used to knowing every step what's happening. They're used to all this personalization, and then they call a landscaper, and it's like, well, first of all, they don't answer the phone,
Yeah.
which that's something that can be solved straight away. They're not answering of a phone, and just they don't, when people the landscapers come out, they said they were going to quote, I never heard back from them. Like
Yeah.
that sort of experience is it just doesn't need to happen. Like I understand why it happens, because I understand these people have two jobs.
Yeah.
They're not doing it because they're lazy. It's
No.
quite the opposite. They're just overwhelmed with work, but they don't need to be anymore. Like there is so many things that they can do to help themselves, and technology is one of them, but it's probably one of the things that will alleviate most of their stress quickly. And
Yeah.
then they can start focusing on those high level tasks that are going to really build that wealth, the wealth in the business and the wealth that they want out of the business, and take all of that stress off of them.
And
So
how would
yeah,
you
it's
answer, like, because I get this a lot, like landscapers don't want to use AI because they feel it doesn't sound like them. They want the personal service. They don't want, like your husband, didn't want an AI receptionist or even a virtual receptionist or even someone answering the phone on their behalf because they won't do it right. How would you alleviate that concern from any landscaper thinking, knowing they need to put these things in place, but is kind of using that as an excuse to hold them back?
it it's a really easy one to debunk with data,
Mm.
because the data shows that if a lead is contacted within the first 5 minutes, the conversion rates go up, but like I think it's 80%. But if not, they drop like dramatically. So your chance of actually getting the job on is significantly impacted if you aren't answering the
Answering the
call or
phone.
communicating with them instantly. So I understand, and Zave said this to me, and I was like, but isn't some kind of communication better than
I
no
know.
communication? Like your idea of, oh well, when I call them back like 3 hours later when I'm in the truck, like that's not what you think, that's what your client wants, because it's how you're putting you're personifying your own experience, but they don't want that. Like high-end clients, and again, I'm talking about if you're happy working with just putting up like low end just on price, different story. Like that, I don't think if you're in that sort, if you're playing that field and you want to stay there, I think that there's probably a different discussion you need to be
Yeah.
thinking, different thing you need to be thinking about, because the businesses are going to change. If you're moving to the high end client, the
Expect a lot
expectation
more.
is, and the expectation is, you don't speak to the business owner straight away. This idea that we're going to get straight through to a business owner, when you're dealing with like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I'm speaking in dollars because I'm in Australia, but
Yeah.
a 100,000, 50,000 pound garden, the expectation is, the landscaper that's going to build your garden, it's
Not
not the
answering the
person that's
phone.
answering. Yeah, it's just you're the ex that it's a different way of thinking, and
Yeah.
they're thinking about it from a landscaper, and they need to think about it as a client and what the client wants from the landscaping business.
Oh,
And
100.
also it then, and you know this as well, it's that protection of time. It's like, this is but there is a qualification period before you speak to me, and that's just elevating your business. Like, you don't just get to speak to me straight away, because
Yeah.
you're the brains of the business. Like, it's your that that's your time. That time is precious. That time is, you should be charging for that time almost. So yeah, I think that gatekeeping of time is gives that business that elevation in what customers then expect going forward.
Yeah, 100%. So from a practical perspective, where should someone start if they're overwhelmed? Is my first question. The second one is, what one or two simple wins someone could put into place this week as a landscaper, feeling all the same things that your husband has done?
Mm. Yeah, I'd say that the first thing they need to do is, well, the first thing they should always do is figure out what's hurting their business the most.
Mhm.
So, and start there. So it's really hard. I would say I've got a profitability and time audit that somebody can take,
Cool.
which just asks 8 questions and highlights where potentially they could save a bit of time with tech, save a bit of time and save and increase their revenue. So that's a good place to start if you're overwhelmed and you don't know what's going on. If you know what's going on, I'd say target the areas of your business that are causing you the most amount of stress. What are you spending the most time on in your day? If it is the fact that you're on the phone all the time, put systems in place, put something in place where you're guarding your time. So there's something in place that is answering the phone before, or there's a barrier between you and the person that you need to
Yeah.
speak to, and you only speak to them when you need to. If it's it's following up with clients, put a system in place where they can follow up. You've got automated follow-ups with clients that go out once they've spoken to you or once they've interacted with your business. It's really hard without knowing what's
What the
impacting
problem is?
what
Yeah.
the problem is, because otherwise you're just solving for something that's not a problem. I would say that the thing that most landscapers probably would initially get the most value out of is just having, if you're not ready for a virtual receptionist, if you're not ready for an AR receptionist, just get something that when your phone isn't answered, just there's an automated text message that goes out to the person that says, hey, sorry, just missed your call. Is there something I can help you with? Or were you looking to get a quote? Something like that.
Mhm.
And you've got that then gets logged in your system. You then have that person's number, when they were contacted. You can do automated follow-ups with that person, and that straight away, if you're missing calls, means that you're immediately going to see an increase in revenue in your business. If you're slow on business, there's really easy things you can do where you could just take past customers and just do a quick outreach to those past customers. Those kind of things take maybe 20 minutes to get off the ground, and you can
Yeah.
then get leads into your business that way. If it's invoicing, you can put in an automated invoicing system. There's just so many things.
There's so
There's so many
many
things, but
things.
I'd say a quick win would be jumping on, do the audit, and I'll give the link to you. Do
Yes.
the audit and figure out where potentially you are leaking time and leaking money. And yeah, feel free to book a call with me, and I can go through the systems that we've got up and running for Zave, take you through what the platform can do, and if you're interested, yeah, we can take it from there. But definitely getting a grip of what's happening in the business and where you need to focus is number one.
Yeah. Um, if you guys, if you're listening, you're thinking, I need that audit in my life, I need a call with Yasmin, then there will be links in the podcast show notes that will go direct for either of those. So I'll grab them off Yasmin later.
Yep.
So where do you think the industry is heading future-wise? And how should we be adapting as landscapers going into this AI bound world that we're finding ourselves in?
Humanoid robots and
Yeah.
um which I am all over. I do think they're coming, but they're probably actually I saw an article, but they've just beaten a humanoid robot has just beaten the record for a half marathon.
I saw
So a
that.
human that's mind blowing.
Yes.
Um,
Scary.
but yeah, it's scary. But I think so. Future wise, I think AI is going to become the brain of most small businesses, landscaping businesses included. I think you're going to have an operating system, which is effectively the brain, that is going to be able to manage your business better than you can manage it. It's going to be able to give you designs, instant photorealistic designs that you can send to clients. You're going to have instant quotes. Like you're not going to spend time. I mean, we're already working on a product that's going to
Yeah.
take quoting down to minutes, which
I'm
I
so
would be
excited to.
really excited to come and speak to. We're probably about 4 weeks away, so I'd love to come on and speak to that
Oh,
once it's
100% when it's
done.
done, you come on.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, you're going to have quotes that go out in minutes, not hours. You're going to have customer service that is completely personalized to any interaction that anyone's had with your business. I see a workforce where you're going to have maybe two or three people managing robots, but
Oh,
effectively, like
God.
you're gonna have two or three people. Your workforce is gonna shrink down to two or three people that are gonna manage multiple robots doing multiple jobs. And I just think you're gonna be able to do so much more with so much less. But
Yes.
I think obviously landscaping lacks behind other industries. I think
Mhm.
the people that adopt an AI first, technology first mindset are going to be so far ahead. Like they're going to be able to deliver like the service they're going to be able to deliver clients, and that is what it's going to be about. It's going to be about the service that you can provide to clients. I think
Yeah.
they're going to be so far ahead of other people because the gap will just you'll just get further and further behind because of what the speed at which technology is moving. Um, so yeah, I think it's an exciting time to be a landscaper. I think it's the first time in history that you have got tools that can the bit that most landscapers hate. Like, no, there might be some freak landscapers out there that love the business side, but most landscapers, I believe,
Yeah.
hate the business side of it and they love the landscaping. So you've now got this ability to just get rid of that. Like you can just put
Yeah.
systems in place. You can put this operating model in place. It's going to learn your business. Like AI has the ability to learn like and retain information so well that you don't have to do much. Like you just have to give it information and set it up so it can consume data from your business
Yeah.
and your business is just going to go on steroids.
I love
Actually, that reminds me, that's one thing for anyone that is looking to go AI first. One of the first things I always say to people is just start taking voice notes because it's really easy for a landscaper to take voice notes about what they're doing. Just whenever you go to a site, the things that you're doing, all those things that are in your head, just start voice noting them. And then you can start uploading that into your favorite AI program, whether it be ChatGPT, it might be Gemini, whatever you're using, and it will just start to document all of that stuff. And even if you're doing nothing with it now, like just
It's
start
learning,
to
isn't it?
you're just putting it in, you're just at least getting it out of your head and putting it into something else. So when you're ready, it's just got all of this information that it can learn and it will learn it in seconds, not hours or days or anything. So
Love that.
if you're going to do one thing, just start voice noting stuff on your phone.
I love that. I love that. Well, I'm going to draw the podcast to a close. We're definitely going to do a second episode based on the pricing thing that I'm really
Oh yeah, the quote tool.
very, very excited. I'm also on your podcast. We recorded that a few days ago, didn't we? Married to
Yeah.
Landscaping. So I'll share that when that goes live. Thank you so much for coming on, Yasmin. It's been awesome as it was the last time we met. It's been really good. And I honestly think there's something that as a landscaper, you need to start thinking ahead for and start embracing the fact that technology can actually help and not hinder your landscaping business. So I will put all the links below. If you need help or got any questions for me, it's Paula at the landscaperscoach.co.uk. And all the links will be in the show notes. I'll be promoting this all over social. So if you need to get a hold of Yaz, you'll know how to do it. So Thank you again. And
Thank you.
I'll speak to everyone on the next episode of the Limitless Landscapers podcast.